Hello everyone, my name is Larseth and welcome back to another video on the Dev Diaries made by Paradox for Europa Universalis IV. So this one actually came out, I missed this one, it came out on 8th of November, so obviously 2 days ago, and somehow I managed to actually miss it being released, but there we go. Fortunately this one is quite short, there's quite not so much to go through as there was in the last episode, so it should be much shorter. But the stuff that is here is really interesting. It's worth saying that the 1.19 patch is now in open beta, so you can actually go and test it yourself by downloading the beta in the Steam client, which I suppose I could have done to show you, but I chose not to in this case because the changes in this dev diary don't need it, basically. So the main focus of this dev diary is the UI. Obviously, the UI is very important because it's how we as players play the game. So the better they make it and the more sort of useful it is, the better experience we have. So these are in no particular order. It's just the order that they were on the dev diary. So the first bit is being changed. It'll be particularly beneficial if you play multiplayer games. So obviously, using the ledger, you can see information about pretty much every single country that's in existence. If you're in a multiplayer game, you might not want your friends or your competition, depending on who's playing, I guess, knowing what you're up to or how your country is doing relative to theirs. So you will be able to prevent them from seeing certain things like in the game settings. So you may at the beginning of a multiplayer game decide, right, we don't want another country, we don't want to be able to see what each other's treasury is looking like. So I imagine so you would be able to stop that. So that's quite useful. This another thing you could do, I believe this is for multiplayer games. I don't think this is for single player. I couldn't understand it quite, didn't really make sense from the wording. Pretty sure it's multiplayer though. But you can disable the rule which means you have to pick balance idea groups. So currently, like you'll see in my Naples campaign, we've gone for a pretty much even spread, and then the next one we're taking is a military. It'll basically force you to do this. So like you can't just take all of one. You could disable that. So if you wanted to, you could go and pretty much do all of one. So you could do all military or diplomatic or all admin. Completely up to you. So on to the next one. The custom nation creator. In line with some of the changes in Rights of Man, you can now design a queen consort, which is obviously new to Rights of Man, so it makes sense that that's now added into the custom nation creator. And you can also start without an heir, if that's something you want to do. So on to a few changes which will actually take place in single player. So normally you fabricate claims by going to, so like Diaries. You would go down here into Covert Actions, click Fabricate Claim, and then choose a province. So in the new, or what you will be able to do, is go to this province view, and there will be a button in here so that you can fabricate a claim in this way. This is particularly helpful if, say, it's a country like the Ottomans. They obviously have a lot of provinces. So rather than go through a massive long list of all their provinces, I could just go, right, I want to get a claim on Crane, and there would be a button here. So providing you have the points to spend to get that claim, you could. So that's useful. Additionally, the province view will also be able to show hostile attrition. So I'm guessing this will come up probably down here in the modifiers. So if a hostile army is in your land, you will be able to see on that given province. So say the Ottomans come in and are here. I will be able to see in this province how much attrition this is forcing upon the Ottomans. Which is obviously... I suppose it's not really useful in like strictest sense, but it's really interesting, I suppose. I suppose it is slightly useful. But that's pretty much it for the province view. The next change is being made to the religious view, which is this one. So this one, actually, until I saw these changes, I thought, wow, well, surely they would have made sense to have these in the game already. Like, I can't believe we've gone so long without it. So the first one is that it'll actually show missionary strength in this view. Because currently the only way of seeing your missionary strength is to go to one of these... well, it's basically to go to this view here. Either click on like send to send a missionary and it'll come up showing missionary strength, or to go here and see all the breakdowns. It will just state your missionary strength normally in this view, which is very useful. Additionally, there will be another column in here which will show how much a province of another religion contributes to religious unity. So if there's a province in here that contributes massively to religious unity, it might, if you're wanting to increase your religious unity, it might be worth converting that province instead of another province which might not contribute very much to religious unity. So that's just another way of helping you sort of being able to see what to prioritize. Next view, completely different subject, but it's actually a change I really enjoy. I really like. So there's a button up here called Skip to Next Song. So you can literally skip to the next song. This is being replaced by a button which will open up a interface, and you will be able to choose what song you want from the list of available songs, which I think is brilliant. As somebody who really likes sort of game soundtracks rather, yeah, that's a really good change. Some people probably won't care, but there you go. Especially if you don't buy music packs. I've got a few of them, so this will be quite fun. Another change. So the alerts, which pop up here, currently there is not one for units suffering naval attrition, which is, if you think about it, is a bit weird. There have been times where I've forgotten about navies who, for whatever reason, have been sat out in the ocean or somewhere where they were too far from a supply line. They were getting attrition and they were being damaged. So now, if a navy is getting more than 5% attrition and has less or equal or less than 50% hull strength, a alert will now show up here. So hopefully that will give you time to be able to move your fleet into an area where it won't suffer attrition. The next change only applies to those people who have rights of man and common sense. So in this production interface, you can go down here and there's development. So at the moment you'll see that I can see the provinces of all of my vassals, in my case 2, which will be a real pain if you are colonizing or have a load of vassals or a load of really big vassals or maybe even client states. So it would clog up this with a lot of stuff you might not even care about. So there will be a button in here somewhere so that you can exclude all of the provinces of your vassals or your colonies and presumably client states, but then they sort of count as vassals anyway. So that'll make this a little bit more polished. And the last change won't really be relevant to most people, and it certainly is not relevant to me, but that is that there are a few changes to certain... I think there's only 2 changes to the way certain things can be modded, or the way certain things work, which means that it might break a few mods. So I know one was... Republican tradition is basically it's being factored slightly differently, so that it'll probably... So currently I guess it's worked out differently to legitimacy and whatnot. That's being changed slightly. It won't have any effect on gameplay, but it'll have effect on mods. So for that sort of information, I'm sure the mod makers already know this, because obviously, you know, that's a hobby in of itself, so they're probably paying a lot more attention than I am. But those specifics were in the dev diary. That's pretty much it for this week. There wasn't anything else. Next week, they will be getting in some of the artists at Paradox to talk a bit about the graphics. So presumably, we can see a few graphical updates. What those will be too, I do not know. But either way, I'm sure it'll be really interesting to find out. I hope this has been an interesting video, and sort of gone over all of the relevant bits in the dev diary. Next one will presumably be in another week, probably middle of next week. And I'll hope to get a video out as soon as possible. But thank you very much for watching this one, and I will speak to you in the next episode. Take care.